Another in Blue Underground's ongoing series of new issues of films they've had out previously on Blu-ray, now in 4K, is The Final Countdown. That's as much as I can do without copyright infringement. That's really as far as I'm going to go with this. The Final Countdown, 1980. This is a film I'd always heard about. I had seen advertising for it at the time, and it was always mentioned, but I never really watched this until it came out on DVD, I think, from Blue Underground, sometime in the 90s, early 2000s, and then the Blu-ray after that. And now I have the 4K, and wow, this movie is fantastic. This is a movie that does not get talked about enough. I think maybe people think it's just a war movie or a military combat film. This is like a really good Twilight Zone episode. So what you got here? This was a UA release originally in this country. You have Kirk Douglas is the captain of like a nuclear aircraft carrier, I believe nuclear, and basically he goes through a storm. He's at Pearl Harbor on maneuvers in 1980 with his crew. James Farentino is on the crew. He's like a Pearl Harbor historian, and Martin Sheen is visiting. He's some sort of an analyst. And Ron O'Neill, Superfly himself, is on the crew. So there's a lot of familiar faces. Lloyd Kaufman, the Uncle Lloyd from Trauma, was involved with the production of this film and has like a bit part in the film. There's a lot of really familiar faces in here. They are on maneuvers around Hawaii, Pearl Harbor area. This weird storm comes along, really intense weather, lightning and things like that. And they, to cut it short, they slowly discover they are in Pearl Harbor right before the attack on Pearl Harbor by the Japanese forces in World War II, what became the start of World War II for America. So it's this fascinating fish out of water. They're in the water, but it's modern fishes in old water. It's this crew on this aircraft carrier realizing slowly, oh my God, we have the power to stop the attack on Pearl Harbor and maybe end World War II right now. Prevent the U.S. from even getting into World War II and all the horrors and losses that caused. Or at least, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Not end World War II. World War II is going on in a lot of places. But the crew is wrestling with what to do. They're like, we could take care of this. What we have on this boat, we can take care of this. But then there are others that are arguing, saying, you can't mess with history. It has to happen the way it happened. Who knows what kind of further horror you could create by altering history. So there's a lot of intelligent moral wrestling in that. But there's also some very interesting aerial action where some Japanese planes spot this boat and engage with fighter pilots. You have Charles Durning as a senator or a congressman, U.S. politician, who's on like a luxury yacht who gets strafed and attacked by the Japanese, and he and Katharine Ross, his aide, are rescued, and they're on the ship. So you've got these 40s people dealing with being on a 1980 nuclear aircraft carrier, and it's all this final countdown to what are they going to do? Are they going to engage the enemy and save countless of American lives on Pearl Harbor and who would have entered World War II, or are they going to just bite the bullet and let it all pass and see what happens and try to get back home? Fascinating movie. As I said, it feels like a feature-length Twilight Zone episode, and I'm a big Twilight Zone fan. And I wouldn't say that unless the movie was good. The stories have to be up to a certain level to feel like Twilight Zone to me. Night Gallery is no Twilight Zone. But this felt like a Twilight Zone episode in the best sense of that. It was really well done. The military and aerobatic stuff is really well done, and it looks fantastic. Looks and sounds fantastic on this Blu-ray, 4K UHD Blu-ray. This is loaded with extras. Once again, it carries over everything from the previous releases. So some of this is going to be like 4x3 from the old DVD release, but you have a extensive interview with a lot of the pilots who were hired. They were naval jet pilots who were hired to do the flying maneuvers in this film, and they talk about just how insane and their superior officers would never let them do this kind of stuff that was either asked of them by the film company or they decided to do. Just insanely dangerous and daring do that these guys did. And there's a Lloyd Kaufman interview about the making of the film, and there's a commentary on the film. It's really loaded, and it's a really, really good flick. I don't have much more to say about it other than that, but if you like time travel movies, if you like military movies, World War II movies, or just Kirk Douglas being very intense in 1980, then The Final Countdown, you can't go wrong, and it's never looked better than it has on this new 4K Blu-ray set from Blue Underground.